Hare Krishna will start with the invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Kupesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanusutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming to read and discuss Srila Prabhupada's and Krishna's instruction. And thank you in advance for taking the responsibility to apply the teachings in your respective lives. Today, we are going to revise Canto 4, Unit number 20, chapters 29 to 31, and we'll finish Canto 4 today. You all are going to do your respective presentations, starting with Mother Chija.
Shall I start, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna devotees, I offer my obeisances to our spiritual master.
Mother Chija, your voice is not clear. Mother Chija? Mother
I
Chija,
seek
your voice
blessings
is...
from all devotees. Kindly forgive me for any mistakes and shortcomings. Yes. Hello. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay now. Earlier was breaking, so now you can go.
Hare Krishna.
Correct. Mother Chija, your voice is breaking. Mother Chija, we cannot hear you clearly.
Obeisances to our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada Ji. I seek blessings from all devotees. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Your voice is breaking in between. Maybe you can sit somewhere close by to the Wi-Fi connection that you have at home.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's perfect. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna devotees, I offer my obeisances to our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada Ji. I seek blessings from all devotees. Kindly forgive me for any mistakes and shortcomings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 4, Chapter 29, verses 1 to 55. King Prachina Barisat did not understand the allegorical story of Puranjana. So, sage Narada explains about material existence and narrates another allegorical story. Sage Narada explains that the jiva transmigrates according to one's karma. In this material family life is considered a blind well, Anda Kupam, into which a person falls and dies without help. Because of our karma, we are born as one-legged, two-legged, three-legged, four-legged, many-legged, or simply legless till we attain this human form. King Prachina Barisat was influenced by material consciousness of I, me, mine, and was under the control of material energy. So he did not understand the story of Puranjana. Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Tesam satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Sri Krishna says to those who are constantly devoted and worship me, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. So, Sage Narada directs King Prachina Barisat on the right path. Sage Narada explains that the Vedic rituals are not the goal of life. The second point is, by worshipping demigods, one cannot get material opulences. However, one cannot understand Sri Krishna. Third point, Niranjana Bhajana, cultivating God consciousness in a solitary place is not possible. Simply advancing one's knowledge, one cannot be accepted as an expert in understanding God Sri Krishna. Sage Narada chastises King Prachina Barisat that animal killing for sacrifice is sinful, and King Prachina Barisat did these animal sacrifices because of false prestige and puts an end to all Prachina Barisat's ritual performances. Sage Narada gives bhakti as the solution. What is bhakti? When a devotee's intelligence is doubted with a desire for Sri Krishna, it is buddhi yoga or bhakti yoga. The principles of bhakti yoga are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam, Dasyam Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. These are the only means by which perfection is attained. One must rise above the bodily conception. One simple method of devotional service is chanting the holy Maha Mantra in devotee association. A sincere devotee is always helped by the super soul who resides within the devotee's heart. A sincere devotee finds a place where glories of Sri Krishna are sung in devotee association. A sincere devotee understands that is home, is where Sri Krishna lives. That is Krishna Loka. Devotees who reach Krishna Loka never take birth again. Sage Narada instructs King Prachina Barisat to put himself under the control of a spiritual master who guides one to Sri Krishna. Sage Narada explains the allegorical position of the deer. The deer is eating grass along with the female deer. The deer is unaware that his death is imminent. The tiger and the hunter are ready to kill the deer at any moment. Like the deer, a human thinks of himself happy in family life. Before the human is the factor of time, which is represented by the tiger, and the superintendent of death, Yama, who will kill him any time. Therefore, devotees, one must understand the serious position we humans are in. We must understand that we must take to devotional service, engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness. To be free from material bondage and the clutches of Maya. In today's age, materialistic studies are the glare of Maya only. Designations, family life keep human entrapped under the spell of Maya. When you are strong in Krishna consciousness, Maya cannot touch you. Direction of the spiritual master, your devotional service takes you directly under the center of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Second half of the chapter, Mother Chandra Aunty plans to do.
Hare Krishna. I am privileged to share her humble realization, because she is unable to physically be present, though she is mentally here. Canto 4, chapter 30, and verses 56 to 85. Hare Krishna, all devotees, I seek permission, blessings from you all. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Paramara, and Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Seeking permission to be able to speak, please forgive me for any lapses or mistakes. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, verses 56 to 85, the other half I am presenting on behalf of Chandra Aunty. She has divided into 4 sections. Section 1, further questions by King Prachina Bari. King Prachina Bari, after attentively hearing the profound instructions of Narada Muni, undergoes a significant internal transformation. His ritualistic activities begin to dissolve, and he realizes that those prescribed in Vedic culture can't grant the soul ultimate liberation. With sincere submission, he approached Srila Narada Muni again to understand the true purpose of life. He seeks clarity on the nature of the soul, the cause of bondage, and the path to liberation. This represents the transition from mechanical religious practice to conscious spiritual inquiry. This is the beginning of real knowledge and begins to discriminate between temporary material activities and eternal spiritual truth. So sincere inquiry and humility are the foundation of spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness. is essential for this. Section 2. Transmigration of the soul. Narada Muni, pleased with the king's genuine desire, clarifies that the living entity is not the physical body, but an eternal spiritual being temporarily residing within it. Due to ignorance, the soul identifies with the body and becomes entangled in material existence. The living entity enjoys through the subtle body, which consists of mind, intelligence, and false ego, carries impressions, desires, and experiences from one life to another. The nature of the next life is determined by the consciousness developed during one's lifetime, the karmic credits, especially at the time of death. Attachment to material enjoyment binds the soul to repeated birth and death. However, within the heart resides the super soul, the constant companion who guides the sincere soul towards the truth and liberation. The human form of life is a rare opportunity for self-realization. To break this cycle, through devotional service, association with devotees, and hearing transcendental knowledge, one can purify the heart, then detachment naturally develops, and the soul begins to realize its eternal relationship with the Supreme, and the cycle of transmigration slowly comes to an end. Section 3. Renunciation of King Prashinabhari. After receiving this true knowledge, the king experiences a complete transformation of consciousness. He understood the limitations of ritualistic activities performed without devotion and realizes that they cannot lead to ultimate freedom. This understanding naturally gives rise to detachment. His attraction towards materialistic religious practices diminishes, develops a genuine desire for spiritual advancement. His renunciation is not artificial or forced, it is due to clarity and realization. This is the result of a shift of his focus from external to internal purification. Devotion becomes his primary path, replacing ritualistic engagement. This stage represents true renunciation based on knowledge and higher taste. Section 4. Palastruti. This describes the benefit of hearing this sacred narrative. It is said that anyone who listens to these teachings with sincerity gradually becomes purified of ignorance and material attachment. This process is powerful, awakens devotion, brings clarity to the mind, and strengthens one's connection with the Supreme Lord. During a course of time, the listener develops detachment from worldly illusions and gains inner peace. This narration is a guiding light of the soul from darkness to knowledge and bondage to liberation. By engaging in pure devotional service, one can realize the true purpose of human life. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations for presenters?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Excellent presentation by both Jija Mother and Uncle. And Jija Mother's illustrations of the allegories are very useful for us to understand. Thank you.
Very good.
Prabhuji, Jija Mother's visual presentation is a motivation for me. I am going to attempt. Somehow I am not very familiar. I will try to find a way to learn and then produce. That makes audio visual more meaningful. Thank you.
Very good. You in Bhagavatam, it explains devotee association is infectious in a good way. So that's the infection you got. Thank you. Very nice. All right. Let me also quickly summarize. Chapter 29 has a lot of points in this chapters. So Canto 4, Unit 20 is titled Narada, Prachana Bharisat and Prachetas. Chapter 29 is titled Talks between Narada and King Prachanabhari. So Prachanabhari says to Srila Narad Muni that he did not understand the purport of Srila Narad Muni's words through the Puranjana allegorical story in the previous 4 chapters, 25, 26, 27, and 28 of Canto 4. Therefore, in this chapter 29, Srila Narad Muni explains the different characters in the allegorical story from the past 4 chapters. So I have the visuals on the screen that we have shared earlier. So the allegorical characters which were described earlier, Narad Muni explains these various characters, like Puranjana is the Jiva, City is the body, Avijnana is the Supreme Lord, 9 gates are the 9 openings in the body and the hands. Puranjani is material ignorance, means it's actually material intelligence, but ignorance. Male friends are the 10 senses, female friends are actions of the senses, serpents are the life airs, and the 11th attendant, the commander, is the mind. Panchal states are the 5 sense objects. Then Narad Muni goes on to explain the 9 gates, which was described in chapter 25. So all these Sanskrit terms, they come up in this chapter 29, which represents all the 9 gates. You have it on the screen. I'm not going to read them again. Basically are the 9 openings or the 9 gates in the body. Then Narad Muni also describes the chariot body analogy components, which we have seen the visual in the Bhagavad Gita also and many places. Can you have a laundry list of all those components on the screen? I'm not going to read all of them. Basically, Narad Muni explains the chariot body analogy. And Narad Muni then also explains the Chandavega's attacks on Puranjana city, which I also have on the slide on the screen, that Chandavega represents time, Gandharvas are the days, Gandharvis are the night. The white Gandharvas are the waxing moon, the black Gandharvas are the waning moons. Chandavega and his followers surrounded the city and plundered the city, means from birth, every day, one's lifespan is stolen by time. So Narad Muni explains all this because Prachanabhari did not understand all these arachaical points. And Narad Muni says, Puranjana is nobody but you, Prachanabhari. Now, how do Sahajiyas view sex is that they pass off this genital business as spiritual activity, and they think that through sexual indulgence, one can elevate oneself to spiritual platform. Srimad Bhagavatam clearly states that desires for sexual satisfaction are meant for lowest among men. And to rectify such sahajiyas is very difficult. Vrindavan is the only place where all these sinful persons can be rectified by means of taking birth in the forms of dogs and hogs and monkeys. And this way the living entity may get elevated to spiritual platform in next slide. Narad Muni also describes material existence, that jiva wandering in material world like a dog is because of misuse of free will and because of association of modes of material nature. Srila Prabhupada cites the example that in the material world, trying to solve the problems actually creates more problems. Humans create one kind of solution for a trouble, but end up creating another trouble. Example, we have so many automobiles to carry us swiftly from point A to point B, but in the process, we have created so many other problems. There are so many more roads created, still there is congestion all over, traffic jam, pollution, fuel shortage, etc. So the conclusion is we manufacture to counteract or minimize our distress, but we actually do not put an end to our pains. It is just illusion. We are simply moving our burden or our trouble from one shoulder to the other. The only real way we can minimize our problems is to surrender to the Supreme Lord, and He will give all protection. All attempts of Jiva to counteract the threefold miseries are futile. Cause of all this suffering is sinful activity. Therefore, some may suggest that doing some great sacrifice would atone such sinful actions, and Srila Narad Muni nullifies this statement that sacrifice would atone sinful actions. He says, no, it's not possible. Rather, Srila Narad Muni provides bhakti as the solution. And Srila Narad Muni stops Prachanabhari's performance of rituals. Awakening Krishna consciousness, surrender to Krishna, is the only remedy, and hearing Krishna Katha leads to seeing the Lord. Devotee is very eager to hear Krishna Katha from lips of liberated devotees. If one gets a chance to hear from pure devotees in such a place, allowing a constant flow of river of nectar coming from the mouth of pure devotees, then the cultivation of Krishna consciousness becomes very easy. When one is engaged in constantly hearing the glories, he rises above from bodily concept of life. Devotee is always eager to hear the glories of the Lord, just as a businessman is always very eager to go to place where business is transacted. Without devotee association, one cannot cultivate Krishna consciousness. So this Niranjana Bhajana means cultivating Krishna consciousness in a solitary place is not possible for a neophyte, because he will be disturbed by bodily necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Narad Muni ends Prachina Bhari's performance of rituals by explaining that great personalities like Brahmaji, Shiva, Kumaras, Narad Muni himself, who are all knowledgeable in Vedas, perform austerities. Still, all these personalities do not know the Lord. Then what to speak of others? Jnanis, karmis do not know the Lord. Only devotee knows the Lord by engaging in devotional service. Vedic rituals are not the goal of life. Rather, pleasing the Lord is the goal of life. Therefore, Srila Narad Muni ends Prachina Bhari's performance of rituals. So upon hearing all these above instructions, Prachina Bhari is still thinking in his mind to send his servants to bring back his sons, the Prachitas, so that Prachina Bhari can hand over the kingdom, Prachitas, and then go to forest. So as spiritual master, Srila Narad Muni's intention is that king should immediately give up all engagement in fruitive activity and immediately take to devotional service. So although the king understood everything, he was still not prepared to give up his material engagement. So this is the position of most people in the material world. They accept a bona fide spiritual master, listen to him, but when the spiritual master indicates that they should leave home and fully engage in devotional service, they hesitate. Actually, one should take to devotional service from beginning of life, as Prahlad Maharaj has advised in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.6.1. Therefore, Shri Narad Muni tells another allegorical story of a deer to get Prachinabhari, quit everything right now. The comparisons in the deer allegorical stories are the deer grazing on grass, enjoying with his mate in garden of aromatic flowers means man is absorbed in household life, in company of wife and thinking of sex life. His ears are attracted to songs of swans and bumblebees means he enjoys the talks of wife and children. He moves about without considering the hungry tiger in front of him means while enjoying he forgets that time is before him, taking away his lifespan. Hunter is behind the deer, ready to shoot arrows at him, means superintendent of death is trying to kill him. Prachinabhari then makes further inquiries with Srila Narad Muni that upon hearing from Srila Narad Muni, it appears that my other teachers have bewildered me. Therefore, Prachinabhari accepts Srila Narad Muni as Guru and asks, please destroy my other doubts as well. That how karma gets transferred to next body, because the body where karma was accumulated is destroyed. And what is the proof of this? Sri Narad Muni explains the transmigration of soul, that subtle body continues even after death, and explains this with the analogy of a dream to understand reincarnation. So comparing a dream and reincarnation is that while dreaming, one gives up the gross body. Similarly, at death, one gives up the gross body. In a dream, through subtle body, one acts in another body, such as being a god or a dog. Similarly, in reincarnation with subtle body, one enters another gross body and experiences the results of actions of one's past life. After gross body is destroyed, the living entity is not finished. Although many great philosophers and teachers in this world are under the wrong impression that after the body is finished, everything is finished. No, that's not correct. Narad Muni says that at death, one takes his plans with him, and to execute those plans, he gets another body. This means that while dying, he was thinking of his plans. After his body was destroyed, he doubtlessly carried his plans with him by means of subtle body, composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. The reason for the next life is that one is identifying with the gross body, and therefore the jiva performs karmic actions. The result of such karmic actions are received in the subtle body, and he takes another birth based on the karmic reaction. The subtle body with impressions is transferred to another gross body. This is how the karma that was done in the previous body gets the results in the next body. The connection between the mental condition and the gross body in both the material life and Krishna consciousness is that face is the index of the mind. If one is angry, his anger is immediately expressed in his face. and other mental states are reflected by actions of the gross body. So actions of the gross body are the reactions of the mental condition. Mind's activities are thinking, feeling, and willing. The willing portion of the mind is manifested through the activities of the body. So by the activities of the body and senses, we can understand the condition of the mind. So example, when anger is in the mind, the tongue vibrates so many nonsenses. Similarly, when anger is expressed through hand, there is fighting. When anger is expressed through leg, there is kicking. And the mind of a Krishna conscious devotee always acts similarly, that the tongue chants Hare Krishna, the Maha Mantra. The hands are raised in ecstasy. The legs dance in Krishna consciousness. So question becomes, how can we perceive the subtle body, which is not destroyed, when gross body is destroyed? So Narmani explains this with an example of a dream and explains what exactly is a dream. A dream is a combination of images that we would have seen at different times. So these are mental concoctions. Although they have actually been experienced in different circumstances, they have simply combined together in a dream. So devotee avoids transmigration by being absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Transmigration of the soul is due to false identification, is due to the subtle body. To understand transmigration of the soul, example is that like a caterpillar. Caterpillar does not give up one leaf unless the caterpillar gets hold of another leaf. Similarly, Jiva does not give up his body until he has accepted another body. And somebody may ask a question whether subtle body is destroyed during sleep, just as gross body is destroyed thousands of times. Answer is that subtle body is not destroyed when senses are inactive. One loses self-awareness during these 5 times. One is deep sleep, during fainting, during grief, upon death, and during high fever. So during these 5 times of loss of self-awareness, senses are inactive to different degrees. However, subtle body continues to exist. Senses and mind are active during youth, while senses are undeveloped in the womb. Therefore, one may think that because of absence of desire in subtle body, there may be no development of gross body. Therefore, Narmani clarifies that inactive senses is not a liberated state. Just as one enjoys objects in a dream, even though objects are not present. Similarly, samsara does not stop for a person who is attached to sense objects, but not in contact with the sense objects. Say like during childhood, senses are undeveloped, or during deep sleep, senses are inactive. Still, samsara continues for such a person also. The falashruti of understanding all these are, one is liberated from subtle body, sanctifies the material world, purifies jiva's heart, liberates one from all bondage, elevates jiva to spiritual world, relieves jiva from bodily conception, and clears jiva's doubts about next life. That's a little longer summary of chapter 29. Any questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, this inactive sense is not in liberated state. Could you please little elaborate for better understanding?
Yeah. So when we sleep every day, end of the day, our senses are inactive, meaning we are not actively using our hands to do something or legs to walk or do something. This way, all senses are inactive. And somebody may say, well, if senses are inactive, then there are no desires. Therefore, we will not get a next body. And therefore, Srila Narmuni clarifies that inactive senses is not a liberated state. Your thought process continues in your mind, in your subtle body. And therefore, next day we get up and we continue from where we left off. And therefore, Narmuni is explaining that samsara continues. Even if, say, when your senses are inactive while sleeping or senses are not as active during childhood, but still the samsara will continue because of past conditioning and because everything is continuing in your subtle body. Uncle?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right, very good. Chapter 30, Uncle is going to present.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, all devotees, I seek permission and blessings from you all. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Paramara, and Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Seeking permission to be able to speak. Please forgive me for any mistakes or lapses. I am privileged to share my humble realization through by Canto 4, Chapter 30, verses 1 to 51. The essence the essence of it is presented in 5 sections. And before that, I would like to confess that while preparing this for spiritual presentation, the essence of it, I realized that there is a vibration in this topic when we talk about the Lord. Vaikuntha is established wherever all the devotees are there and we discuss. Particularly, it is stated in chapter 35 of Canto 4, chapter 30 and verses 35. That Lord resides in place where pure devotees chant His holy name and discuss His form, pastime and qualities. So this is the biggest benefit. So I request each and every one of you here to kindly, intently listen, because this chapter I feel is very, very significant. So I'll start with my presentation part 1. Prasiddhas attain Vishnu Darshan. Chapter 30 opens with the great sage Maitreya narrating to Vidura the extraordinary conclusion of the Prasiddhas' 1,000-year austerities in the depths of the ocean. The 10 Prasiddha sons of King Prachinabhari had been performing severe penances as directed by Lord Shiva, meditated upon the Supreme Lord Vishnu with undivided devotion. The long period of discipline purified their consciousness, completely removing all traces of material desire. Pleased by their sincerity and unwavering devotion, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared before the Prasiddhas in his transcendental form. This divine appearance is the direct, merciful manifestation of the Supreme Lord, who is pleased with sincere and prolonged devotional service. Srila Prabhupada's purport conveyed to us, the Lord is not far away. He resides in the heart of every living being. To a pure devotee who completely surrenders, he reveals himself directly. Prasida's minds became fully absorbed in the Lord, and all material concerns disappeared. The Prasidas sought only the Lord, and thus received the greatest benediction, his holy darshan. Part 2 covers the Lord's speech to the Prasidas. Therefore, it is all the more very significant for all of us to intently listen and relate to our own life. Lord Vishnu, being pleased with Prasidas, addressed them with great affection and compassion. He acknowledged their unity, brotherhood, 10 of them together practicing in harmony. He instructed them to continue to perform their duties, but internally remain detached. No action should be performed for personal enjoyment or selfish gain, but as an offering to the Lord. This way, the ordinary activities become spiritualized and lead to purification of the heart. He granted them spiritual intelligence, enabling them to remain fixed in devotion even while engaged in worldly responsibilities. This teaching highlights the balance between action and devotion, that one need not abandon life but must transform one's consciousness. Srila Prabhupada explained the Lord's heart is always with the devotees, and his devotees' hearts are always with him. This reciprocal love is the essence of bhakti, not a transaction, but an eternal bondage of the soul, which demonstrates the Lord is with us. Part 3 Prayers of the Prasidas. Overwhelmed with gratitude, the Prasidas fell at the feet of the Lord, offering prayers in faltering voice, born out of transcendental ecstasy. Purified by the Lord's very presence, authentic prayers born not from scholarship but from the heart of pure devotees, transformed by direct contact with the divine grace. Prasidas glorify the Lord as the source of all creation, the ultimate shelter for all living jivas. Prasidas glorify the Lord as Vasudeva, he who lives in everywhere, as Paramatma and as Krishna. We conditioned souls are always covered by ignorance in the bodily conception. To deliver us, he has arrived in this transcendental form. Prasidas conclude their prayer by seeking always to remember the Lord's glories and to associate with his devotees. Part 4 Prasidas request benediction. Prasidas, when allowed to ask for benediction, they demonstrated their spiritual maturity. Instead of asking for wealth, heavenly pleasures, or liberation, they humbly requested only that they always remember the Lord and engage in his pure devotional service, birth after birth. They also desired the association with the saintly devotees to strengthen their spiritual life. Sadhusanga purifies the heart. They asked to hear the glories of the Lord repeatedly. The Lord grants them the wish. Srila Prabhupada here reveals profound truth. The Lord is not only pleased with personal devotion, but also with kindness and equal vision toward all his children. A true devotee sees the Lord in every heart. A place becomes Vaikunta whenever pure devotees discuss the holy topics of the personality of Godhead, because of the presence of the Lord in the form of transcendental vibration. Those who recite, hear these prayers, and follow the path of the devotees will receive his mercy in abundance without fail. Part 5 Prasidas marry Marisha, birth and activities of Daksha. After bestowing benediction, the Supreme Lord departs. Following the Lord's instructions, the Prasidas accept Maharisha, the celestial woman born from the trees, as their wife, who is the soul of great spiritual merit, a wonder born of the meeting of Tapasya and beauty, union of sage Kandu's austerities and Apsara Pramalocha. In her previous life, a widow without progeny or wealth, yet she worshipped the Lord with full faith. Due to her sincere bhakti, she was blessed to become the wife of 10 noble kings in her next life. The story teaches that devotion to the Lord transcends all social circumstances. Lord sees only sincerity of the heart. Birth of Daksha, from the union of Prasidas and Maharisha, the great Daksha is born. Daksha was immensely powerful, prolific, filling the universe with the progeny, and the Lord Brahma engaged him in generating and maintaining living entities across all the three worlds. Yet, his story also becomes a lesson in the dangers of pride and interference towards irreverence towards Vaishnavas. I'm sorry. Eternal lessons from Srila Prabhupada's spirit. Chapter 30 of Canto 4 concludes, devotion leads to darshan. The Lord speaks and guides. The devotees pray and surrender. Benedictions are granted and life continues, but transformed. Prasidas teaches by their example. Seek the Lord with patience. Hare Krishna.
Super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for Uncle?
Very, very well.
Very comprehensive.
Very well presented, Prabhu.
Yeah. And thank you for, Uncle, thank you for jolting me at the start that pay attention, because I was in La La Land. So I also focused immediately that, oh, this is important, that this is Vaikuntha atmosphere. So thank you. Thank you for bringing us all back.
Prabhuji, you are responsible for that statement. Because when I submitted my spiritual endeavor, you sent back to my surprise, please, a request, please revisit chapter 35. So I went through, what is that lapse I have missed? Because I don't just write and then give. I rewrite and look at whether there is some message, substance for me to learn and to share with others. And I discovered that I missed this very critical point. And you are responsible for that. Thank you.
It's Srila Prabhupada and Krishna responsible for everything. I am just an low servant, but thank you for actually following up. Right, so this is important learning, that sometimes I give feedback that whatever you submit, it's not that I don't read. I read, and whosoever needs a little correction on their submission. So that's very nice that you actually went and followed through. So this is the learning process. That's why at the start I always say that thank you for coming and taking responsibility for implementing these changes in your lives. Thank you again. Okay, let me also quickly summarize chapter 30. So chapter 30 is titled The Activities of Prachitas. In Canto 4, chapter 24, the Rudra Gita chapter, Maitreya Muni had started narrating about Prachitas. The Prachitas learned how to satisfy Supreme Lord by chanting the Rudra Gita. Now, Vidura wants to hear the result of Prachitas chanting the Rudra Gita. The result is that Prachitas attained Vishnu Darshan. So at the start of this chapter, it describes that both the Lord and living entity are called Puranjana. Living entity is called Puranjana because he has become an inhabitant of this material world and under the influence of the three modes of material nature. He is forced to live within it. The Supreme Lord creates this material world, which is known as Pura. Material world is Pura. And he also enters within it, and therefore the Lord is also called as Puranjana, but the Lord is not under the control of anybody. The Lord speaks to Prachetas, and the Lord is pleased by the unity of Prachetas. The unity of souls in Krishna consciousness is real unity. The Lord asks Prachetas to enjoy the earthly pleasures. So, question may come up that why would Lord ask Prachetas to enjoy earthly pleasures, which are hell? The answer is that devotees are not entangled because the devotee does not consider himself the proprietor of any occupation. The devotee always thinks of the Supreme Lord as the proprietor. Therefore, the results of his business are offered to the Supreme Lord. Prachetas offer obeisances in prayers to the Lord according to their capacity. So, qualities of the Lord are described that he relieves material distress, he has all auspicious qualities and holy name, is faster than the mind and the words, and cannot be perceived by material senses. Then the next word describes Lord's interaction with material nature, that Lord is pure, peaceful, and fixed in his Swarupa, and he makes the material world of duality appear meaningless. The next verse then describes further qualities of the Lord, that the Lord is completely independent of material influences. He takes devotees' misery away. Lord's brain works to deliver the conditioned souls and lives everywhere as Paramatma. The verse further describes the Lord is origin of everything. All these are prayers of Prachetas, that your abdomen sprouts a lotus flower, and which is the origin of all living entities. You are decorated with lotus garland. Your feet are as beautiful and fragrant as lotus. Your eyes are like lotus petals. Prachetas also describe that Lord is the supreme witness of everything. The Prachetas also mention that Lord's mercy, not mentioned, but these are their prayers. Lord's mercy is manifested in his Archa Vigra form. This is the most merciful nature of the Lord. So Lord asked Prachetas to ask for some benediction. The Prachetas ask for the best benediction with no limit. The benediction of hearing of Lord's unlimited pastimes, qualities, forms, names, etc. in devotee association. For a devotee, everything is spiritual world. For as long as he can hear about the pastimes of the Lord, or wherever he can chant, the Lord is personally present. When the pure devotees assemble to chant, hear, and talk about the Supreme Lord, the place where they assemble becomes Vaikuntha. For the devotees, there is no need to pray to the Lord for transfer to Vaikuntha world, because they are already in Vaikuntha. What is achieved by the audience that hears Krishna Katha is that wherever pure topics of transcendental world are discussed, the members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. They are no longer envious of one another. They do not suffer anxiety, do not suffer fear. Because of the presence of the Lord, in the form of the transcendental vibration, the place immediately becomes Vaikuntha. whenever or wherever the holy topics of the personality of Godhead are discussed by pure devotees. Two kinds of devotees are described. Bhajanandi devotees are those who do not move. They just remain in one place and focus on their meditation. Bhajanandi may sometimes also go on preaching. And Goshti Anandi is one who desires to increase the number of devotees all over the world. He travels all over the world. Like how many of you are also preachers. All of you are preachers. You also always bring devotees closer to Krishna. And soon we are going to start a new batch of Bhagavad Gita. So you can keep bringing more souls closer to Krishna through our scriptural study. The Prachetas marry Marisa, the daughter of the trees. Marisa being taken care by trees means the deity of the trees took care of Marisa. And Daksha from the start of Canto 4, who offended Shiva and was killed by Virabhadra, takes birth as the son of Prachetas for his further suffering, because the original suffering was not enough. That's a quick summary of chapter 30. Any questions, comments, realizations? Okay, Shalini and Gopal.
Prabhuji, personally,
Yeah.
I feel from chapter 25, Canto 4, chapter 25 to 31, very significant in everyone's life. If we carefully read and reread, you realize lots of things. That is my humble submission.
Yeah, very good. Correct realization. Thank you. Shalini and Gopal are going to present chapter 31. We will probably go a little bit over. So thank you for tolerating. Let's finish this today. Shalini, Gopal.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances, seeking permission and blessings from you all, Srila Prabhupada, all gurus in disciplic succession, and Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. I would like to present a summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31. Narad Muni instructs the Prachetas, Parts 1, 2, and 3. Please forgive me for any shortcomings or mistakes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Part 1. Prachetas renounce the kingdom and meet Narada. Part 2. Devotional service is the goal of all spiritual practices. Part 3. Supreme Lord is worthy of all worship. Maitreya Muni is narrating to Vidura the instructions of Narad Muni to the Prachetas. The Prachetas lived for thousands of years and developed perfect consciousness. They decided to leave the home with their wife in charge of a son named Daksha. This is the process of human civilization. In the beginning, as a brahmachari, one should undergo severe austerities and penances in order to be educated in spiritual values. Once they are grown up, they should enter the grahastha ashram, where they should get married, live at home, beget children. Once children are grown up, men should leave home in search for Krishna consciousness. In this way, one can make one's life perfect by going home back to Godhead. Shira Narad Muni arrives in the forest, and the Prachetas request Narad Muni to enlighten them in transcendental knowledge. When one approaches a saintly person, one should seek his blessings, inquire about spiritual topics, and how to get out of the material clutches, not to ask any material benedictions. Sage Narada began to reply. Devotional service is the goal of all spiritual practices. Without bhakti, various endeavors are useless. Philosophical speculation is successful only when engaged in understanding the Supreme Lord. Devotional service means engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. A civilized human being has three kinds of birth. 1. Birth by biological parents. 2. Initiation by spiritual master. And 3. Initiation to do sacrifices. All these are useless if one does not engage in the service of the Lord. A living entity is an eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. Unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, everything else is null and void. There are two verses in this chapter, first three parts, which is very significant. One is verse 1. Srutena tapassa vakim vachobhishchittavitribhi buddhya vakim nipunaya balenendriya radhasa. Verse 12. Kimva yokena sankhena nyasa swadhaya yorapi kimva shreyobhiranyascha ya na yatratma pradohari. The translation I just summarized. There is no use of Vedic education, performing penances, austerities, process of hearing, power of speech, mental speculation, elevated intelligence, mystic yoga practices, studying Sankhya, or accepting sannyasa. Without bhakti, all these are useless. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be understood only through the process of devotional service. The Supreme Lord is the original source of all self-realization and the goal of all auspicious activities. As pouring water to the root energizes the trunk, branches, and leaves, similarly, supplying food to the stomach enriches the senses and limbs. Simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord through devotional service, all the demigods will be satisfied and all worships are accomplished too. Everything emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in due course of time, everything enters into Him. Examples are given. Just like water falls as rain from sun, and in summer, the same water is absorbed by the sun. Similarly, the entire material creation comes from the body of the Supreme Lord and at the time of annihilation again enters into Him. How the Lord is all-pervasive is explained with analogies. Sunshine emanates from the sun is non-different from the sun. Similarly, the universe emanates from the Lord and is non-different from the Lord. Senses appear manifest in the waking state and unmanifest in the sleeping state, but the senses are always there. Similarly, cosmic creation is sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. When the cosmic manifestation is dissolved, it is a kind of sleeping condition or inactive state. Whether active or inactive, the energy of the Supreme Lord is always existing. Darkness, illumination, clouds appear, sometimes disappear. The potency is still there, always existing. In the sky, we sometimes see clouds, sometimes rainfall, sometimes snow, night or day. All these exist due to the sun, but the sun is unaffected by all these changes. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the cause of the total cosmic manifestation, but is unaffected by material existence. To conclude, the Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances, seeking permission and blessings from you all, Srila Prabhupada, all gurus in the disciplic succession, and Sri Radha and Krishna. I would like to present a summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31. Narada Muni instructs the Prachitas, Part 4 and 5. Please forgive me for any shortcomings or mistakes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Part 4. Satisfy the all-powerful Lord by bhakti. And part 5 is the conclusion. Narada Muni advises Prachitas to worship the direct cause, Supreme Personality of Godhead. For example, when the root of a tree is watered, all the parts are energized. Chaitanya Charitamrita states, Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sharva Karma Krita Haya. When one worships the Supreme Lord in devotional service, one automatically performs all other pious activities. The Supreme Lord is never affected by material qualities, although they emanate from his spiritual energy. One who has this knowledge can utilize everything for the service of the Lord, because nothing in this material world is unconnected to the Supreme Lord. There are three favorable qualities for worshipping the Supreme Lord, ways to satisfy him quickly. First, show mercy to all living beings. And second, be satisfied in all conditions. And third, control one's senses. A pure devotee is always absorbed in the thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His heart is thus free from all desires, and he does not think anything of material. He sees the Supreme Lord in his heart. As soon as the Lord is seated in his heart, he cannot be contaminated by the material modes. In this way, the Supreme Lord is conquered by his pure devotee. The Supreme Lord is dependent on his pure devotees. The Lord doesn't accept offerings from non-devotees. Devotee may appear to be materially poor, but because they are spiritually advanced, they are most dear to the Lord. The Lord, out of his costless mercy, becomes dependent on the devotees. How fortunate is such a devotee that he cannot forget his obligation to the Lord even for a moment. The great sage Maitreya continued to narrate to Vidura that Sri Narada Muni described the relation of the Supreme Lord to the Prachitas, and afterwards he returned to Brahmaloka. By hearing the glories of the Lord from a pure devotee, the Prachitas became attached to the Supreme Lord. Meditating on his lotus feet, they entered Vishnuloka. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18.65, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru mam eva sheshu satyam te pratijane priyasmi. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my dear friend. Maitreya Muni tells Vidura he has told everything about the conversation between Narada Muni and the Prachitas, describing the Lord's glories. Now Sukadeva Goswami continued to Maharaj Parikshit that he has explained about the descendants of King Uttanapada up to the point of Prachitas. Now Sukadeva Goswami desires to describe the descendants of Maharaja Priyavrata, the second son, Swambhu Manu. Although Maharaj Priyavrata received instructions from the great sage Narada, he still engaged in ruling the earth. After fully enjoying the material possessions, he divided his kingdom amongst his sons. He then attained a position by which he could return home back to Godhead. Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaja Parikshit that after hearing the transcendental messages of Supreme Personality of Godhead from the great sage Maitreya, Vidura was overwhelmed with ecstasy, with tears in his eyes, fell down at his lotus feet of his spiritual master and fixed the Supreme Lord in his heart. One should get out of this dark material world to go to the spiritual world that is light. This information can be attained by the mercy of a self-realized soul. As soon as one frees himself from material desires and associates with a liberated person, the path to Godhead is clear. Sukadeva Goswami continued that Vidura, after taking permission, started for the city of Hastinapur to see his own kinsmen, to give them instructions for their benefit. He had no material desires whatsoever. He wanted to see if he could deliver Dhritarashtra from the clutches of Maya. So in conclusion, Sri Sukadeva Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj that hearing about kings who are fully surrendered to God brings effortless material prosperity endowed with long life, good reputation and fortune, and ultimately the opportunity to attain spiritual liberation back to Godhead. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for Gopal and Shalini Prabhus?
Very good presentation by both Prabhuji.
The final message is always think of me and you will come back to me. So that is the essence and crux of this topic totally. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you all for listening with rapt attention. Yes, Gopal and Charan Prabhus have done a very good presentation and very nice recitation of the Sanskrit verses as well. Let me also quickly summarize chapter 31. Thank you all for tolerating some extra minutes so we can finish this unit and chapter and Canto 4. So chapter 31, Canto 4. In Canto 4, chapter 30, verse number 18, Lord stated to Prachetas that Prachetas would become disgusted with their kingdom. Therefore, Prachetas would leave the kingdom and attain the Lord. That prediction comes true in this chapter 31. So Prachetas detach from their kingdom, go to forest, practice bhakti as described by Sharanad Muni. This way, Prachetas attain Krishna. Canto 4, chapter 31 is titled Narada's Instruction to Prachetas. Chapter starts with describing time-wise progression of various ashrams, that what is life based on Vedic principles. In the beginning of life as a brahmachari, one has to undergo severe penances, austerities, in order to be educated in spiritual values. When they grow up, they should get married, live for some time at home and beget children. When the children are grown up, the man should leave home and search for Krishna consciousness. This way, one can make one's life perfect by going back home, back to Godhead. Because the home is considered to be a dark well covered with grass, and if one falls within this well, it simply dies without anyone's caring. One should therefore not be too much attached to family life. It will spoil one's development of Krishna consciousness. Srila Narad Muni arrives in the forest to meet Prachetas. Prachetas say to Narad Muni that because of family attachment, we almost forgot the instructions of Shiva and Lord Vishnu. So please enlighten us. The proper way to approach a saintly person is to be enlightened about how to get out of material world ocean. An improper way to approach a saintly person is to ask for blessings for material desires. Sharanad Muni addressed as Bhagwan because Sharanad Muni is always absorbed in thoughts of Supreme Lord. So Bhagwan means one who possesses all the opulences. And when a person possesses Bhagwan within his heart, he is also called Bhagwan. Sharanad Muni emphasizes devotional service is the goal and also describes that without bhakti, various endeavors are useless. Without bhakti, birth, then second birth by initiation, performance of Vedic sacrifices, activities instructed in Vedas, long life, austerity, power of speech, elevated intelligence, bodily strength, mystic yoga, analytical study of matter, renounced order, all these are useless because they do not help in realizing Lord Hari. Therefore, worship Lord, the Supreme Lord, because Lord is the original cause of everything. Few analogies are described in this connection that watering root satisfies the leaves, trunks, etc. So devotional service is the root, means devotional service to the Lord. You are satisfying the root, and this automatically satisfies the demigods. There's no need for separate demigod worship. Everything is generated from the Lord and returns to the Lord, just as water is generated from sun during rainy season and evaporated by sun during summer. And just as bodies of living entities are generated from earth and return to earth as dust. Lord is all pervasive explain with the sunshine analogy that sunshine emanates from sun and sunshine is not different from sunshine. Similarly, universe emanates from the Lord and is not different from Lord. This way, the Lord is all pervading like the sun. And the senses analogy explains that senses appear manifest in waking state and unmanifest during sleep. But senses are always there. Similarly, universe appears manifest sometimes and sometimes unmanifest. But Lord's energy always exists. Now, a question may be asked, how can Lord be the cause of universe made of gunas when Lord is beyond the gunas? So darkness, illumination, clouds, rain, etc. All these exist because of sun. But sun is unaffected by these. Similarly, although Lord is the original cause of total cosmic manifestation, he is still unaffected by material existence. Material nature is just the helping factor in creation. Supreme Lord is the ultimate cause of creation, and still Supreme Lord is not affected by material conditions. Therefore, satisfy the all-powerful Lord by bhakti. 3 favorable qualities for worshipping the Lord to quickly satisfy the Lord are: show mercy on all living beings. Second, be satisfied in all conditions. Third is control your senses. The intimacy between Lord and Lord's devotees and the Lord's reciprocation is that just as devotees have possessiveness of the Lord, similarly Lord also has possessiveness of the devotees. Shri Muni returns to Brahmaloka, Prachetas return to Lord's abode, and Maitreya Muni concludes. Vidura thanks Maitreya Muni and started to go to Hastinapur to deliver his brother Dhritarashtra. So as we have discussed in Canto 1, Chapter 13, that Vidura returned from being enlightened by Maitreya Muni, and that connection is right here, that Vidura is starting to go to Hastinapur. Saintly people meet their friends and family only to share the knowledge of scriptures and self-realization. That's exactly what Vidura is doing, and exactly what all of you also do, to share the learnings to others, because you are understanding the benefit of it. The Falashruti is that those who hear the topics about surrendered kings ultimately return back to Godhead. Sukadeva Goswami then continues to Parikshit Maharaj that he has explained the dynasty of Uttanapada, and now Sukadeva Goswami is going to explain about Priyavrata. The discussion of Priyavrata will begin in Canto 5. That's a quick summary of Chapter 31. Any questions, comments, realizations? In essence of time, I will also quickly answer the one inquiry submitted and the striking points I will share. Inquiry submitted is, how does the analogy of watering the root of a tree illustrate the proper method of worship, and what does it reveal about the unity of all living beings and demigods? So analogies are meant to make us understand the unknown from what we know. In material world, we know by watering the root of a tree, all leaves are nourished. Similarly, Lord is the root. All jivas are parts and parcels of the Lord. Therefore, if one satisfies the Lord by worship, it will satisfy all parts also. Therefore, there is no need for separate worship of demigods, just as there is no need for watering each leaf separately. I will quickly share the striking points. There are 7 slides. Take a snapshot. Slide 1. Slide 2. Slide 3. Slide 4. Five. 6. And 7. Abhishek Prabhu has shared a nice point in the chat that all these analogies we read in all these chapters, we commonly hear in ISKCON, and it's good to know the references. So thank you for hearing with rapt attention and connecting the dots. Thus ends Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, all assembled devotees ki jai. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. Thank you all for tolerating extra minutes. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.